Something could happen on this show. You never can tell.
Hello. Welcome to the Rock and Roll Show with Pam and Joe, inspired by the music and the disc jockeys that became the soundtrack of our lives. I'm Pam.
And I'm Joe. This week's show is brought to you by Real Stories Productions, the Dick Biondi Film, and our favorite plumber, Vince Cerrone of VC Plumbing.
I am honored to introduce to you one of our newest sponsors, Vince Cerrone of VC Plumbing. Vince, welcome. We're so honored and thrilled to have you on board.
Thanks,
and
Joe.
You're very welcome. Please tell us why you decided to come on board as a sponsor of the Dick Biondi movie.
Well, I was, in my younger days, I grew up with Dick Biondi like everybody else did. I used to sit and listen to him and listen to his jokes and his humor, and I enjoyed him very much. I always waited to turn the radio on to listen to his voice and all the rock and roll songs.
And how can they learn about VC Plumbing?
You could go to www.vcplumbers.com is our website, and my email is vince@vcplumbers.com.
Give Vince a call. He's your guy. He's a guy you can trust. You want to get connected with Vince. Believe us.
Hi, everybody. Pam here. We have got such a great show for you tonight. I can't wait for you to hear from our wonderful guest, and Joe is going to introduce him.
Absolutely. Thank you, Pam. Welcome to the Rock and Roll Show with Pam and Joe. Please check out our website, dickbiondifilm.com, Facebook group, and Facebook page. It is our honor, it is our pleasure to introduce to you iconic, legendary singer, songwriter, musician, all around terrific person, terrific guy. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Jim Peterik. Jim.
I can hear the people screaming.
Yes.
That's the old days.
Oh, Jim, what a pleasure to have you on with us. I mean, really, you just rock, man. You just are so cool. I got to ask you, you're part of the Dick Biondi Film, and of course, you were one of the first people we thought of when we started interviewing people for the film. That's been quite a few years ago. I mean, we're going on 6 years now. But I was always wondering, can you tell the audience how you met Dick Biondi?
Wow. Well, the Ides we've been together since 1964, the Ides of March. And right near the beginning, we had a major hit, well, at least in Chicago, but nationwide, 42 on Billboard, called You Wouldn't Listen. And suddenly we're doing all these record hops, and guess who's hosting most of them? Dick Biondi.
Yeah.
And he was our favorite. I mean, there was a lot of great jocks in Chicago, and we did them all from, Clark Webber. I mean, so many of the disc jockeys. But I think our favorite was always Dick Biondi, because he had such an enthusiasm for music. And he'd sometimes get up on stage with his tambourine, and he couldn't play tambourine. He couldn't find 2 and 4 if it saved his life. And he knows it too. And I kid him about it, because we let him on stage a few years ago, and he still can't play tambourine. And we joke about it. But he was always our favorite. The Wild Italiano, and we dearly loved Dick, and we still do, and we go that far back to the record hops for WLS, WCFL. And then, when the Ides of March had a resurgence, in 1990, after my days with Survivor, he was there. He was still there, young as ever,
Yeah.
feisty as ever, irreverent as ever. And that's why we love him.
Absolutely.
That's terrific. Before we look back at your unbelievable career, we were just wondering if you could talk about the new music that you've been making, which is absolutely dynamite with the Cornerstones and with Dennis DeYoung. Can you tell us a little bit more about the new music that that you
Well,
didn't make
you know,
it?
that's my favorite subject because, you know, I'm going to be 70, and I'm proud of it in November, November 11th. And a lot of guys and girls stop creating, they stop doing it. They're very satisfied to rest on their past, and that's nothing wrong with that. I mean, Billy Joel decided, I'm not writing any more songs. Well, he got enough in his canon. He doesn't have to write any new songs unless he wants to. But I'm always seem motivated, and I hope I stay motivated to create new stuff. And so it's always something, whether it's a new Ides of March album that we put out late in 1999, 2019. That's what I'm trying to say. The years just kind of,
I know.
It's okay.
they're all the same. And we put out an album called Play On, and it's one of our best. And Fred Mullen, the great producer who did Jimmy Webb, all his albums, produced it. And it became just a big hit. And we're very proud of that. And then I ran into, well, Dennis DeYoung and I have been circling each other's orbits for about 50 years. He was in TW4, which became Trade Winds, which became a group called Styx. And the Ides of March were, you know, playing some of the same South Side clubs. And Dennis and I got to know each other. And I like to call ourselves friendly rivals back then because we were friends, but we always get, well, my record's number 1. Well, my record's number 10. Is that good enough? You know? And we used to have a blast, you know, razzing each other. But it really wasn't until a few years ago, about 15 years ago, we got together and we wrote a song. But it didn't really click until about 3 years ago when we got back together. We went out to dinner, he and Suzanne and Karen and I, and we just shot the, you know what, the crap, and said, you know what, we got to try this again. And the rest is history. And the proof of it is in his 26 East album, which just dropped, as the kids say. We say came out, was released, they say dropped. Anyway, it's a great album, and it's part 1 of 2 parts. This is part 1, and then part 2 of 26 East will be coming out in the winter of this year. There was too much material that that Dennis and I had collected through the past 3 years of working on this album. Of course, many of the songs he wrote on his own, but then I would come in and we'd collaborate. You know, he did that wonderful collaboration with Julian Lennon that just is so killer. So every time I hear it, I just get such a goosebump. It's called To the Good Old Days. I had nothing to do that except strum an acoustic guitar, but at least I'm on the record. But the first, the release after that, it was called With All Due Respect. And that's a hilarious song. Have you heard With All Due Respect yet?
I think I have heard it.
Oh, if you heard it, you'd remember it. Because the hook is, with all due respect, ba-da-ba-ba, you are an a-hole. And of course, the A is not an A on the record. It's the full word.
Oh, wow.
And
I'll
you know,
listen to that.
on some radio stations, they beep it out. Other ones, you know, have the guts to play the A word. And it's all about the media. And, you know, Dennis loves to harangue about inequities and things that he doesn't think is right. And he really hates a lot of the, you know, the news outlets that exaggerate everything and make everything seem like a big deal and slant it one way, slant it this way. With all due respect, you suck, you know.
Good. That sounds like a good song.
We need it. It's a statement, but it's a lot of fun. And there's a video that we made with a lot of the members of his band, with myself. It's out there now. Do yourself a favor. Look up With
check
All
it
Due
out.
Respect by the great Dennis DeYoung. And he's going on, let's see, when is it? A couple of days. He's going to be on the Beatles channel talking about his duet with Julian Lennon.
Nice.
And he said, get ready. I mentioned your name. I said, okay, I'm ready. I hope it's something good.
Oh,
you
that's
know.
cool.
But we have
That's
a
very
wonderful, wonderful relationship. He's just a natural asset, you know, and he left Styx or they parted company, whatever. But if you want to hear what Styx could be now, you listen to Dennis's album. And he was such a part of Styx, the voice.
Oh, yeah.
Songs like, you know, Come Sail Away and
Oh, my gosh.
that side of Styx. I mean, there's a great side of Styx that is more the, you know, the Tommy Shaw side of Styx, you know, the Blue Collar Man and all those kind of songs. But, you know, it's hard to separate Dennis DeYoung from Styx, and he's just great.
Yeah, he's got a unique voice. You know that voice right away.
I'll say, I mean, you cannot duplicate that voice.
No.
Oh, that's right. Jim, who before forming the Ides of March and just getting on the starting your ride as your amazing career. I was wondering if you could tell us about your musical influences early in your life or throughout your life. Who were some of your biggest influences musically?
Sure, great question. I have to say, you know, I was blessed to have two older sisters. I was the little kid. I was 5 years old, and Janice would have been like 14, and Alsan would have been 12. So I was kind of a mistake. They didn't expect me, you know. And those girls had great taste in music, and they had a RCA Victor record changer, and they would bring home these 45s, and I was 4 years old going, oh my God, I don't know what I'm feeling, but I love this, what I'm hearing. Elvis Presley, Johnny Cash, Fats Domino, on and on and on, the Everly Brothers. Yeah. And I grew up with that music because my sisters just kept playing it. And we'd, every year we'd drive down to Florida with my mother and dad, and Janice, Alsan and I would be in the back seat singing Everly Brothers hits with our ukuleles.
Oh.
And that's how I started my love for rock and roll and music in general. Yeah. And I owe my sisters so much. And Janice, my older sister, passed away a few years back, which is such a sad thing. But Alsan is still with us, and she's 80 years old, and she's still a rocker. She plays those 45s to this day. And you gotta love that. So I was really blessed to have a wonderful family life.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
And I saw a picture of you with your dad. You were playing a saxophone, right? Because I got your book.
Boy, oh my God, yeah, it's in there.
You got to sign this for me sometime.
I will bring it around.
I will.
All right. Yeah, that's
here's the picture.
Oh yeah, there I am looking so proud.
I can't really see there.
It's over there. But I mean, the look of pride on my face. I'm standing there with my dad's band, the Hi Hatters, which is basically a polka band, and they did standards too, you know, but a lot of polkas because they would play a lot of Polish and Bohemian weddings, you know. Mm-hmm. And I would sneak in bandstand with my saxophone and harmonize with them. And afterwards, we'd all go out to White Castle at midnight. That was living.
That was wild for a young kid to be doing that stuff.
That was really wild, man. I ate those sliders like crazy.
I didn't realize you started that early. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was a ukulele player at age 4. I couldn't even wrap my hand around that neck, and it's tiny little. I remember the day I could finally make a chord. I was like, yeah. But music was my life. It always has been and always will be. You know, that's what feeds my soul.
Yes. That's great. You're a magnificent songwriter, musician. I mean, what really strikes me about you is your guitar playing. I mean, it's really dynamite. And one of my favorite guitar solos was the one you did in Vehicle, and it's really just. I mean, I don't know. I get goosebumps when I listen to it. And I love the guitar. I'm not a musician, but I love music. I love music history. I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about Vehicle and what kind of guitar you used on that song.
Well, yeah, I could go on for an hour on that because there's so many levels to that question. But I'll give you the Cliff's notes. First of all, that was a solo I played right with the track. That wasn't an overdub. And I don't think I could have ever played that solo if I was thinking about it. And it was one of those things, I was channeling something. I was playing better than my ability, really.
Wow.
And the first take, I was playing my red Epiphone Riviera. And during that take, I broke a string. And so Larry, being on B3, he was able to lend me his Epiphone Riviera, but it was a Sunburst. So that's the guitar I use on Vehicle. The thing just played itself. And
Wow.
I was on autopilot, his guitar, he still has that guitar. Larry, awesome. I have almost 200 guitars. He has 3, but they're all the best guitars ever, including that one. But the funny story is I didn't think the solo was any good because I couldn't even hear it. I'm just playing,
Wow.
And so about a week later, I come back and I said to my producer, Frank Rand and Bob Estacchi, I'm going to try a real solo. I even bought a fuzz tone, man, and I plug in and I work this thing out and it sucked, and Frank goes, let's hear that other solo. Let's put it up really loud. I go, holy, I played that? You gotta be kidding. I don't know how to play that good, and real short, a few days later, they're mixing the thing, and all of a sudden the second engineer comes in with this look of panic on his face. Guys, I erased 14 seconds of the song from the second verse to the solo, gone. And we just wanted to commit suicide. We go out on the street. I think we got a sandwich or something. Larry stayed there because Larry Millis was, and still is, of course, the geek, the tech geek.
Yeah.
He wanted to see what was going on. Well, the second engineer found a way to splice 14 seconds from take 1 onto take 2. And history was saved. And so if you hear the second, great God in heaven, I love, that's from take 1. And then as soon as it hits the solo, it's back to take 2.
Oh, God.
And we were like, thank you, Lord. We were so happy. We were like dancing around the studio because we knew by that time that this was a magic song. Every time we would play it at the sock hops or the church dances, before it was a record, the dance floor would fill up. And there's something in the DNA of this song. It's really magical.
Yep.
And sonically, when you listen to it, when you hear it on the radio, it's really nothing like it, really.
Yeah.
To this day, it stands out,
It does.
And so many bands play that song. Tom Jones has a great version on the internet.
Really?
Sammy Davis Jr. has a great version. On and on. And look, we didn't know what, I was 19. Suddenly we're touring with Led Zeppelin with a #1 record.
Wow.
And with, not only Zeppelin, but that was the biggest, I think. We played shows in Canada with Led Zeppelin, even went to a party with Led Zeppelin, which is another story.
Awesome. Yeah, I bet that's a good one too.
Well, it was good, except that us guys from Berwyn, we didn't want any part of that. Because it was too wild. Yeah. Too wild. We were homeboys, and we very respectively say, Robert Plant, thank you for inviting us. We're out of here. And we went to Dunkin' Donuts across the street. True story.
I don't know too many people that would do that, honestly. I really don't. I mean, that just says a lot about the character of you guys. And that's why you're still together all these years, because you're like a family and you're good guys. You're wholesome guys,
Yeah.
Really.
We're still the same people.
Yeah. You're real. You're real.
We're best of friends. We're family, really.
It's amazing.
Just something about the Chicago area people that just, they know their roots, and they're confident, but also very humble and just kind of straight ahead, straightforward, know what they need to do. And, it's just something about
hardworking.
that family. Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
Joe and Pam, a lot of people say, Jim, you could have probably done a lot better in LA. And now they say, Nashville, because that's the new LA kind of. Why didn't you move there? I said, look, it's not home.
Right.
You don't have pan pizza and the Cubs and the Sox and the Bears and it's family.
And that's why you wrote that song, LA Goodbye.
Yeah. LA Goodbye. That was our first trip to LA.
Yeah.
And we were living the high life. We were at this great hotel. What was it? Doesn't matter. Amazing hotel. And we were getting, I won't say wined and dined because we didn't drink, but we were getting dined and treated like royalty, basically. Doing all these great shows, the Dick Clark show and the Mama Cash show, and so many different shows. And we played the Whiskey A Go-Go with Stephen Stills and Tony Joe White, and the record company was there, kissing our you-know-whats. And you know what? We weren't swept away like a normal band might have been. We were eager to get back to our brick bungalows. None of us were married at the time. We want to get back to our mom and dad,
Oh my God.
That's homesick.
Amazing.
Yeah. And family is very important to us Chicagoans. Very important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
And speaking of Chicago and speaking of family, we wanted to talk to you about, you've been doing the Cornerstones of Rock for a little bit now. Can you tell us a little bit on how you got involved with that, and then what's in store? Once we kind of get back to a sense of normalcy, what's in store for you and the Ides, touring, recording, and so forth.
Wow. Well, that's a very dear subject. Never could believe the success that Cornerstones has seen in the past 5 years. I actually created the very first Cornerstone show before there was any sponsorship or anything. I love the sound of the Cornerstones of Rock. That really sounded solid, And the very first show, I think Bob Surratt hosted. And we had a lot of the same groups that became the lineup to when it became official. And we did I guess you would call it a soundstage for Joe Thomas. I think it was a soundstage brand. Okay. And it was called Cornerstones of Rock. And this would have been like maybe 2014, 15, something like that. And it was really the same lineup. Unfortunately, we lost a few people since then, like the great Gary Loiseau of the American Breed. Right. He was on that original show and passed away soon after it came out. And that was just such a sad thing. They don't come any better than Gary Loiseau. And we lost a few other musicians as well. But most everyone is still together and still touring. We're talking about the Great Buckinghams, Ides of March, New County Six, Shadows of Night, Crying Shames, Eliota Haynes Jeremiah, which is now not just, but only Ted Eliota, who is just a wonderful harp player. And and he's a character. I mean,
boy, is he.
He's a Chicago character. But we love Ted. Anyway, we have shows booked. I believe it's the 22nd of August. We have a Cornerstone show on the south suburbs, Orland Park. And that's going to be really big. It's going to be interesting the way the audience will be spaced. And, I know that the promoter is a great guy. I guess he's the mayor of Orland Park, or at least the promoter. I'm a little foggy on that. He's going to be, of course, he's taking a lot of heat right now because there are certain people that don't think that show should happen. And I don't want to get political because it's not my place, but I think it is going to happen. And I
Good.
think everybody's going to be spaced, and everybody's going to be partying and rocking and very socially conscious.
Oh my God, it's going to be a big deal because it's the first time,
Yeah.
it's at least the first concert I know of that is going to happen, you know, after all this crazy coronavirus.
Yeah.
I know it's going to be like kids in a candy store. We're going to be so
Not
excited to play, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be the tightest show we've ever done because we got to start rehearsing pretty soon, but it's going to be the most fun, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
And Cornerstones has always been about good music, of course, all the hits that we've had through the years, the Chicago bands, but it's also about having a great time. You know, it's Jimmy Sands out there goofing around, and
Yeah.
you know, and Tom Duty, Toad, as his nickname is and was back in the day, Toad, and of course Jimmy Pilster, you know, with the
Oh, yeah.
tambourine, and he used to break more tambourines than anybody I knew. And I keep telling him, Jimmy, you got to bring the hook back. I mean, when I was
Yeah.
watching the Crying Shames at the Blue Village, or opening up for the Crying Shames with the Ides of March, we were astounded at the tricks he did with that hook and his tambourine.
Really?
Yes. And I, you know, come on. And he said, I don't have the hook. I don't know where it is. Well, buy another hook.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh.
That would be so cool.
Okay, we got to work on that, Pam.
Okay. But yeah, I'm so lucky because all of those bands are in the film. And I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Well,
honoring Dick.
I am honored to honor Dick. He was my hero. You know, that's all there is to it. And many years we go back, and I have to mention very special memories. For 12 years in a row, the Ides of March would play the 6 o'clock mass at Holy Name Cathedral. Father Dan, and you've been to those, right, Pam?
Yes, I have.
Yes. And I don't know about you, Joe, but these were special events. 6 o'clock mass, Holy Name Cathedral, Father Dan Mayall, the Ides of March. Well, first of all, Dick would come out with us, and he would give always a different story about, you know, about Christmas and the meaning of Christmas.
Oh.
And he says, don't call it a holiday. It's not a holiday. It's Christmas. You know, it wasn't Jesus' holiday. It was Jesus Christ, you know?
Yeah.
And he was just hilarious and always with tongue in cheek, but the audience knows Dick, you know? And,
Oh, yeah.
And then the Ides of March would take over, and we would do our Christmas originals like Sharing Christmas. And, you know, usually audiences at the church don't applaud after a song. They did. And for the Ides, and
That's great.
we were just we missed those days so much because Father
I
Dan
know.
became a Monsignor and was transferred to another parish,
Yes.
and we kind of lost our spot at Holy Name. But man, those are good times. They'll never take them away.
I know they meant a lot to Dick.
Oh, sure.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, he
Dick,
loved them.
Dick was. This is a truism. Dick is so famous that many times we would play Sox Park or Cubs Park and do the anthem, and Dick would come out and fake singing because he knows he's not a great singer, but he would be out there, and then we'd be walking through the crowd, you know, and receiving accolades. But you know what? The Ides of March would disappear because everybody wanted to talk to Dick. Only
Wow.
Dick. That's the legend he
That's
is.
crazy. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Fantastic.
He's still
That's
got
how
it.
famous. He still got it. And that's how much people love Dick.
They
Biondi.
do. I have
Yeah.
met a lot of people that love that man dearly. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just amazing.
He's,
We're going to have to wrap this up already. Can you believe that?
Wow.
we had fun.
Wasn't it
Oh, it
fun?
was great. Oh, it was fan. It was wonderful.
We love
it was
it.
awesome.
We love it.
Yeah.
Well, you guys
Oh.
are great hosts, and I'm honored to be on your show.
Well,
Oh,
thanks,
thank
Jim.
you. We were honored to have you here. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
We're just having fun with it, you know? It's
Yeah.
just kind of evolved on its own, and we just love it. So
Yeah.
Let me
thank
tell
you
you,
so much.
when you start with fun, you will attract an audience, and the word will get around.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely. And
Well, you guys are great hosts, and God
Thank you.
bless. Have a great summer. Look at the Ides of March schedule, theidesofmarch.com. Definitely see you for the Cornerstones on the 22nd. There's other shows too.
Absolutely.
I don't have my
You got
schedule, but you'll keep everybody
there.
apprised, and I know
I
you'll
will.
be there.
Absolutely.
You're the
Thank you
greatest
so
cheerleader
much.
we ever had.
Oh,
All right,
man.
guys.
Oh, that's awesome.
I don't know about that, but I try.
Just wear those little
Oh.
pom-pom dresses, and you look fine. All right, Joe.
That's great.
All right,
Okay.
Thank you very
Bye,
much,
everybody.
Jim. It was
Thanks
great
for
seeing
tuning
you.
in.
Bye-bye, everybody.
DickBiondiFilm.com, Facebook page, Facebook group. Sign up and like. See you later, everybody. Thanks, Jim.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Pam.
Bye.